Hello there, and welcome to Andre's YouTube vlog for Friday, September 14th, 2012. Well, it's actually a beautiful day out there. It's the first near 80-degree day. Well, actually, yesterday was the second that we've had here in a while. And, of course, being it's only a couple of weeks or less than a week till the end of summer, there's a lot of people outside and of all different sorts. And that brings me to what I'm going to be talking about in this particular video. Yesterday, my mother told me about a story that she had seen on Yahoo News about the quote-unquote ugliest woman in the world. And I'm sure that many of you out there know who this lady is. Her name is Lizzie Velasquez, and she's 23 years old, and she is a communication student in Texas, currently in college. And the moment I saw her face, the word ugly did not pop into my mind, but something equally as ugly did. Apparently, Lizzie was born with a condition that does not allow her body to develop body fat. So she is a full-grown woman who weighs only 62 pounds. Her body has a translucent effect. I'm sure you've seen her picture online, and she was born with one eye. As far as I was concerned, the instant I saw her face, I could tell that this was a physical affliction, and that this had absolutely nothing to do with ugliness. And I've done a lot of videos on here in the past about bullying and making fun of people with afflictions, and I'm not really going to get into that, but this brought up a deeper issue. The fact that on Yahoo she would still be referred, even in parentheses, as the ugliest woman in the world brought up some disturbing references and to society, and this is what I wanted to discuss. As far as I'm concerned, right at this moment, I'm of the strong opinion that once our prejudice toward people of different ethnicities, religious faiths, and homophobia have all disappeared, and all of that's gone, and a distant memory from a distant time, humanity may still be left with one prejudice left, and that is the idea that goes back till the dawn of time, that what is good must also be physically beautiful. And that basically means that most humans, over the course of time, appear to be attracted toward physical beauty and repelled by physical ugliness. And it is a prejudice. Let's not kid ourselves. A lot of people out there say, oh, well, that's just human nature. It's not. It's a prejudice. It's a learned thing, and if it's a learned thing, we can unlearn it. Easy words to say. Very easy words to say, but I'm going to tell you it's very, very hard to do. And I'm going to face the facts of the matter myself. When I was younger, I wouldn't say I was necessarily bullied over it, but people would look at my hair, which was curly, and that wasn't common where I lived. It was a straight hair kind of area. And they would look at it funny, even people who weren't bullies necessarily. And, when I am in a grocery store and I see somebody who has a mental retardation, or they're autistic, or, whatever they happen to be, and they're yelling and they are essentially being what they are, it attracts my attention. And the more I see of it, the less it attracts my attention. And I think that, in a way, might be the key to dealing with our prejudice and understanding it better, because ugly is a very subjective thing. Here's my point of view on ugliness, and I guess because of my own experience, it's how I viewed it. To me, ugliness is something that somebody does to themselves. They squint their eyes, or they have a mean look on their mouths purposely, and they try to look like they are inside, emotionally ugly. They're not nice, they're not pleasant, they say harsh things, they're abusive to others. To me, I would put that in the category of ugly. To me, ugly is internal. And there are some people I would call ugly, but they make themselves that way. A person who has a face that looks different from another because of an affliction, like this Lizzie that I was just speaking about, are by no stretch of the imagination ugly. And it's hard to believe, you know, that this could happen. And I mean, hearing about the bullying she went through and her age, it's outrageous. I would have thought in the last 20 years we would have made at least the first steps in taking that out of society. You know, I was an optimist that way. But apparently things haven't changed. You know, if I had known a lady like Lizzie growing up in school, my opinion of her personality would have been the basis for my opinion on her, not her physical appearance. And, you know, I could get bullied for that too. I mean, people who befriend people like Lizzie are themselves bullied. Oh, how could you make friends with that ugly person? Or how could you make friends with that person who's gay or who's black or whatever? You know, you hear them all. There's all these euphemisms we use. Why are you befriending that person? You know, there are so many better people to befriend. And it's all without. And, you know, every children's book, every first grade class are always telling kids, you know, you shouldn't judge somebody by their outward appearance. But somewhere when they grow up, sometimes during puberty, that's all they tend to think about. And it sort of goes with a comment I heard the famous nuclear activist Dr. Helen Caldicott make recently, that she's under the opinion, medically, that in men, this is not for women, that in men, their lack of sensitivity begins to become very prominent during puberty. Their attraction toward people becomes more superficial, and they're less kind to people and less sensitive. Now, there's a bell-shaped curve in that, of course, and even Dr. Caldicott will admit that. She's a well-known Australian pediatrician. But the point is that in order to perceive ugliness for an internal condition rather than an outward condition, I think we need to examine ourselves psychologically a bit more than we are. And I would like to think that in 30 years, people like Lizzie Velasquez will not have to go through the same types of things that she did. And you know, there's always going to be someone with some sort of unusual deformity. And considering the physical deformity and considering the nature of the environment, who knows if it'll get worse. And, you know, I'm not an overly politically correct person. I'm not going to find all these euphemisms to describe it. It is a physical deformity. But it doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means you have a physical deformity. So what? You know, I have a little knob on one of my ears. You know, does that make me a freak or odd or strange? Or any of those words we put on it? I just think it's as simple as let's not put the words on it. You know, children are permanent alphas, like I was saying earlier. They don't think in those terms. Why are we so afraid of having that part of childhood? Why don't we just think about it the way it is? We need to stop making fun of people. We need to stop ridiculing them, or we'll destroy ourselves. And we don't want to do that. We can destroy ourselves physically very easily for the past 50 years. And now we have the power to destroy ourselves mentally, and we seem to be lighting every torch to make that happen. And we need to stop. So, you know, think about not just what you're saying. I mean, people can say anything. Think about your instincts and what you're thinking. Because you never know. An accident could happen to you, and one day, you'll be on the other side of where Lizzie is. You know, she was born with it. But it might happen to you. Or it might happen to your child. And then, you may have to eat your words and think a little bit more about it. Sometimes, you don't know what you got until you're faced with something else. And you just have to muddle through as best you can. So anyway, to Lizzie Velasquez, you know, I salute you in your quest through life to bring awareness to people such as yourself and your plight, and just to live as reasonable a life as you possibly can. That's really all we can ever do. Keep trying. Anybody out there who are considered ugly, who really aren't, and remember, even though it's hard for us to see sometimes, because we tend to think with our eyes more than with our heads and our eyes, beauty is still within no matter what. I'll see you next time.